Body has been found in a pond in Milton in the search for the son of rapper Lil Jon.
Nathan Smith, known in the streets and on the scene as DJ Young Slade, was making his own name while carrying a heavyweight legacy on his back. The son of the legendary Lil Jon was found lifeless in a pond near his home in Milton, Georgia, and the news hit like a shockwave nobody saw coming.
The son of Lil Jon, a missing adult son.
Police are saying there was no foul play involved, but the streets are not rocking with that version of events at all. People are side-eyeing the whole situation, saying it just does not sit right with them. Now everybody is whispering, everybody is questioning what really went down that day. We are looking closer at those final moments, the strange timeline around when he disappeared, and the chilling details about where he was last seen. And the wild part, so many people believe there's way more to this than what law enforcement is putting out there. The whole situation has people talking heavy, like something is missing from the story, and the math just is not adding up.
I go by DJ Young Slade.
DJ, I produce, I engineer, and I'm an artist. And my dad is the king of crunk, Lil Jon.
This isn't just another sad headline. This was a 27-year-old man with the world in his hands, dreams, talent, and a name that was already starting to glow, who stepped out of his house on one random Tuesday morning and never came back. Let's break this down, because this story goes way deeper than it looks. First off, who was Nathan Smith really? Mainstream media loves to squeeze people into quick headlines, but Nathan was way more than just Lil Jon's son. DJ Young Slade had his own lane, his own hustle, his own shine, period. Nathan, just 27, was living in Milton, Georgia, about 30 miles north of Atlanta. Same city where his dad, Lil Jon, built that music empire. And if you somehow don't know Lil Jon, we're talking a Grammy-winning icon, the man behind hits like Yeah with Usher and Ludacris, and that wild anthem Turn Down for What. Those tracks didn't just top charts, they stamped an entire era of hip-hop and crunk. But Nathan wasn't out here riding off his father's fame. Nah, this man was building his own legacy. Producer, artist, engineer, a real creative powerhouse. And on top of that, he was an NYU graduate, one of the most respected universities in the country. This wasn't some basic story. This was a young talent with everything lined up for greatness gone way too soon. And that alone says a lot about Nathan's discipline and drive. Getting into NYU is already tough, but finishing, that's elite level focus. Nathan wasn't coasting through school. He was leveling up in the books and in the booth at the same time. He was balancing academics with late nights in the studio, sharpening his sound, tightening his craft, building something that was fully his. Even Lil Jon himself said Nathan was amazingly talented, and you could see how tight they were. You catch them side by side at events, popping up together on social media, always vibing like real best friends. In 2024, they even showed up on Family Feud together, and that episode told you everything. The laughs, the inside jokes, the way they hyped each other up, pure father-son energy on full display, and it felt real. This wasn't just a celebrity and his kid. This was two men with a bond built on trust and love. Everybody who crossed paths with Nathan kept saying the same thing. He wasn't your average industry dude. Lil Jon called him the kindest human being you would ever meet, and people around him backed that up, from producers to friends to family. In an industry packed with egos, fake smiles, and clout chasers, Nathan stood out by being solid, humble, grounded, and crazy talented without needing to talk big. His sound was starting to make noise too, and people were finally waking up to his real potential. Nathan was in his bag, engineering tracks, linking with artists, stacking credits, and building his portfolio the smart way. This wasn't some spoiled kid playing with music because his dad is famous. Nah, Nathan was serious about his grind. He had the education, the access, and more importantly, the skill and hunger to make his own name. So when the news hit that this young man went missing under strange circumstances, the hip-hop world froze. Everybody was watching. Everybody was talking. Because from jump, none of it felt like it added up. And here's where it gets real. Pay attention to the details because the timeline tells a story. Early Tuesday morning, Nathan doesn't just step outside, he runs out of his house on foot. Not driving off, not heading somewhere planned, not moving like it was a normal day at all. He ran. And that one detail right there set off alarms everywhere. But here's the part that really had people stunned. He left without his phone. In 2025, come on now, who goes anywhere without their phone? Especially a 27-year-old music producer whose whole life, contacts, beats, files, texts, bookings is locked inside that device. Nobody just forgets their phone, especially not when they're sprinting out the house like something's chasing them or their minds is racing. Your phone is your lifeline. That's how you call for help, how you get directions, how you stay connected. Leaving it behind screams panic or serious confusion, like his thoughts weren't lining up in that moment. Soon after, the Milton Police Department got the call. Tuesday morning, Nathan had been reported missing by his family, and they made it clear this was not normal behavior for him at all. The official missing person flyer even stated that Nathan may be disoriented and in need of assistance. Now, if you understand how law enforcement phrases things, that wording is heavy. That means they believe something serious could have been going on with his mental state. That one word, disoriented, had people shook and asking what really happened that morning. Disoriented hits different. That's not random. That suggests he wasn't in his right state of mind. It points to something deeper, maybe a mental health crisis, maybe extreme exhaustion after too many sleepless nights grinding in the studio. When your body and brain are pushed too hard, things can spiral fast. Whatever it was, the people closest to Nathan knew something was off. His friends and family weren't just concerned, they were scared for his safety, and that says a lot. That means they noticed signs. Maybe he was acting different, maybe his vibe shifted, maybe something felt heavy in the days leading up to that Tuesday morning. We don't have every detail, but one thing is clear. The people who loved him knew this wasn't Nathan being himself. This was Nathan in a moment of real crisis, and everyone around him could feel that something wasn't right. Now let's talk about where this all went down. Milton, Georgia. Quiet, upper-class suburbs. Tall trees, wide streets, peaceful neighborhoods where people wave when they drive by. It's not the type of place where somebody just disappears. So when somebody goes missing there, especially under strange circumstances, the whole community reacts fast. And that's exactly what happened. Within hours, the search was on. The Milton Police Department, Nathan's family, his friends, and even neighbors jumped in trying to bring him home. They searched neighborhoods, wooded trails, pines, every single corner they could think of. Local businesses checked cameras, flyers went up, social media flooded with his profile, and because of who his father is, the story spread fast, Atlanta to LA and everywhere in between. The hip-hop community started sharing posts, sending prayers, holding on to hope that Nathan would be found safe. Search parties kept forming. People were walking streets, reviewing doorbell footage, checking every security camera they could access. Officers were following every lead, talking to anyone who might have seen something. No detail was too small. This wasn't treated like just another case. This was major. The son of a hip-hop legend was missing, and that brought serious media attention and real pressure to find answers quickly. But then came the silence. Tuesday passed, Wednesday rolled by, Thursday hit, and still nothing. No solid leads, no confirmed sightings. Every day that slipped by made the fear grow heavier. And anyone who understands cases like this knows the longer someone is missing, especially if mental distress might be involved, the more complicated it becomes. You could almost feel the clock ticking louder with every hour. Then Friday morning, everything shifted. Search teams found a body in a pond not far from Nathan's home, just steps from where he lived with his family. A small suburban retention pond, the kind of people walk past every day without thinking twice. Not some hidden lake deep in the woods, just a quiet drainage pond surrounded by trees and tall grass, blending into the neighborhood like background scenery. But that Friday morning, all eyes were locked on it. Soon after, the Milton Police Department released a statement confirming what everyone feared. The body found was believed to be Nathan Smith. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office would handle the official identification using fingerprints, dental records, or other methods. But everything, the location, the description, the timeline, pointed to it being him. And then came the line that made people really stop. Police said, to date, there is no indication of foul play. Let that sit for a second. No indication of foul play. That statement right there changed the entire conversation overnight. It didn't look like anyone physically hurt him. Authorities were suggesting this may have been an accident or possibly something self-inflicted. Their words framed it as a tragic situation, something that happened without anyone else being responsible. But you already know that statement didn't sit right with everybody. The streets lit up immediately, questioning how a 27-year-old man could vanish and then be found in a pond days later with no foul play involved. People kept saying something just wasn't clicking. When you really step back and look at it, the timeline, the behavior, the official claims, it all feels strange. So let's break this down piece by piece, because there are real questions here. I'm laying out the facts, and you decide what makes sense. Some of this is straight up unusual. Point number 1, the mental state question. Police said Nathan left his home under unusual circumstances and may have been disoriented. That points to a few possibilities: a mental health crisis, a possible reaction to something he consumed, or something else entirely that affected his judgment. But here's what people keep circling back to. By all public accounts, Nathan looked good. He was working on music, staying close with family, and had just appeared on Family Feud with his dad, smiling, laughing, full of life. There were no visible public signs of him struggling. So naturally, people are asking, where did this sudden shift come from? Now, let's be real. In the music world, especially in hip-hop, mental health struggles are real and often hidden. We've seen talented artists pass away after quiet battles. Names like Mac Miller, Juice WRLD, and DMX remind us that success on the outside doesn't always show what someone's carrying inside. Depression doesn't care about fame. Anxiety doesn't skip people with money. Mental health challenges can affect anyone at any time. Sometimes the strongest-looking people are dealing with the heaviest pressure behind closed doors. A lot of folks learn to smile while pushing through pain, and that's what makes it so serious. Still, the suddenness of him running out of the house early in the morning without his phone suggests something intense may have happened in that moment, something specific, something that triggered urgency. So the real question becomes, what happened that morning, or maybe even the night before? Was it a panic attack that felt overwhelming? Was it fear or confusion that made him act fast? Could it have been a reaction to something in his system that temporarily affected his state of mind? These are serious questions. Toxicology results could eventually clarify whether anything contributed to his mental condition that day. And beyond that, there's always the possibility of an underlying condition that wasn't publicly known. Whatever the case, the speed of it all, from appearing fine to suddenly gone, has people searching for answers. There are layers here, and without full details from investigators or the family, people are left trying to connect limited information. When officials mention Nathan might have been disoriented, that opens the door to several possibilities. Certain conditions can affect judgment, perception, and behavior. Severe anxiety episodes can trigger fight or flight reactions. Extreme stress can cause confusion. Exhaustion alone can cloud thinking in dangerous ways. But without medical context, nobody outside the investigation can say for sure what Nathan may have been facing privately. Sometimes the human mind can shift suddenly, even in ways loved ones don't fully understand. And that brings us to point number 2, the pond. Nathan's body was found in a pond close to his home. And if you know Milton, Georgia, you know that area is full of beautiful houses, golf courses, and small neighborhood ponds scattered all over. They're common. Most of them are part of stormwater systems built to control runoff and keep the area looking clean and peaceful. But here's what has people stuck on one big question. How did Nathan end up in that pond? Was he trying to hide? Was he confused and accidentally walked into the water without realizing the danger? Did he intentionally step in? Was it still dark outside and hard to see? Or is there something else that hasn't come to light yet? Police made it clear, no indication of foul play, meaning they don't believe anyone attacked him, pushed him, or forced him into the water. No signs of a struggle, no witnesses reporting suspicious movement, no evidence showing someone else was there. But here's the key part. No foul play doesn't mean they know exactly what happened. It just means there's no proof another person was involved. And that's a huge difference. Drowning cases are complicated. Medical examiners have to confirm if there was water in the lungs to determine an actual drowning versus a body entering water after death. They check for injuries to see if anything happened before he went in. They run toxicology tests. They study the scene, footprints, disturbed grass, anything that explains how someone got there. It's slow work, and until those official findings are released, the picture is still incomplete. Now, let's talk about the timeline. Tuesday morning to Friday morning. That's 3 full days, 3 long days between when Nathan ran out of the house and when he was found. That gap is what has people asking the toughest questions. Where was he during that time? Was he wandering nearby, lost and disoriented? Could he have been somewhere close but unseen? Or did he enter that pond on Tuesday and simply wasn't discovered until Friday? That's the part that keeps people thinking. The pond wasn't miles away, it was part of the neighborhood. So how did search efforts not locate him sooner? Were certain areas harder to access? Was visibility limited? These are the details investigators have to sort through carefully. Or could something have happened during that window that hasn't been uncovered yet? That unknown space in the timeline is what makes this case feel unfinished. This is where the medical examiner becomes critical. The autopsy can provide clarity where speculation cannot. They'll estimate time of death using decomposition markers and environmental factors. They'll check for injuries, cuts, bruises, anything suggesting impact before entering water. Toxicology will show whether any substances were in his system. They'll even analyze how long the body may have been submerged. Water temperature, depth, environmental conditions, every small factor matters. If evidence shows he was in that pond for 3 days, that will show. If findings suggest he entered the water later, that raises new questions about where he was beforehand. Until those results are officially released, everything else is speculation. And trust me, social media has been loud. The internet has been flooded with theories, some grounded, some way off track. People are trying to make sense of something that still doesn't have clear answers. Now, let's address another angle that's been floating around: the industry talk. Anytime someone connected to a major name in hip-hop passes away unexpectedly, rumors start fast. Conspiracy theories get thrown around. People online start connecting dots that may not even exist. But let's be honest, most real-life tragedies don't come from secret plots. They usually come from painfully human realities. Mental health challenges, stress, accidents, personal struggles. Yes, the entertainment world has pressure. It's competitive, it's intense, but jumping straight to extreme conclusions without evidence doesn't help anyone. Lil Jon has been in the game for decades, known for high-energy music and positivity. He worked with major artists and built a career around celebration and creativity. By all public accounts, he's always spoken proudly about his son. That's why this loss hit so hard. The statement released by Lil Jon and Nathan's mother, Nicole, was emotional and direct. They spoke about how deeply they loved him, how proud they were of the man he was becoming, how in their final moments together, they made sure he knew how much he meant to him. That doesn't sound like secrecy. That sounds like grieving parents facing the unimaginable while the world watches. Right now, the facts are still unfolding. The investigation is ongoing, and until official reports are finalized, the focus remains on truth, not rumors.
Because at the center of all of this isn't a headline. It's a family dealing with heartbreak. Still, it's not hard to see why people have questions. The hip-hop world has witnessed its share of strange and heartbreaking situations over the years. So when something like this happens, suspicion shows up fast. And let's be honest, the industry does carry pressure. There's exploitation, heavy expectations, and non-stop comparison that can weigh on even the strongest artists. Young talent sometimes faces pressure that outsiders don't fully understand. Mental health can get overlooked. Substance struggles can be hidden instead of addressed. So while extreme conspiracy theories don't hold real proof, it's fair to ask whether the pressure of being a legacy kid, the son of a music icon, might have felt overwhelming at times. Trying to build your own name while the world constantly measures you against your famous parent, that's serious weight. Most people will never understand that kind of spotlight. And maybe, just maybe, that pressure built quietly behind the scenes without people realizing how deep it ran. Now, let's talk about another phrase that caught attention: unusual circumstances. That wording had people locked in. Law enforcement doesn't just toss around phrases like that for no reason. It sounds official, but it's also broad. It signals that something about the situation stood out, even if details aren't being shared publicly. So what could unusual circumstances mean here? It could mean Nathan had been acting differently before leaving. Maybe emotional distress, maybe confusion, maybe behavior that didn't align with who he normally was. It could mean something triggered a sudden reaction, bad news, overwhelming stress, or something internal that shifted quickly. It could also point to a mental health episode. During intense anxiety or panic, perception can distort. Fear can feel real even if there's no physical threat. When the mind goes into survival mode, logic can fade. People can make fast decisions driven by pure instinct. And that's the painful reality of mental health crises. Sometimes a person reacts to something that feels urgent in their mind, even if others can't see it. When adrenaline takes over, the body moves before reasoning catches up. That phrase, unusual circumstances, leaves a cloud over the situation, because until reports are finalized, nobody outside the investigation truly knows what happened inside that home
or what led to Nathan running out that morning. There's also the reality that some details may remain private, and that's understandable. Families deserve space to process pain without every moment becoming public discussion. Not every detail belongs to headlines. When the news broke, though, the hip-hop community showed up in a big way. Artists, DJs, producers, fans, people across the culture sent support to Lil Jon and his family. Social media filled with tributes, prayers, and memories from those who had crossed paths with Nathan. Many described him as respectful, humble, kind, the type of person who didn't need to be loud to leave an impression. That kind of consistency in how people describe someone says a lot. What stood out even more was how many voices in the industry began speaking openly about mental health. Artists who usually keep emotions guarded started sharing their own struggles. Conversations about therapy, anxiety, depression, and burnout became more visible. It was like this tragedy cracked open a door that had been shut tight for too long. Because behind the chains, the awards, the music, and the spotlight, these are real human beings dealing with real pressure. Success doesn't cancel stress. Fame doesn't erase emotional battles. One message echoed again and again: check on your people. Just because someone looks strong doesn't mean they're carrying something heavy. Just because someone smiles doesn't mean they're not struggling quietly. Pain doesn't always announce itself loudly. Nathan's story, as heartbreaking as it is, reminded many people of how important it is to speak up, to listen, and to take mental health seriously, especially in communities where vulnerability has historically been discouraged. For years, many young men were taught to stay silent about emotions, to tough it out, to keep pain hidden. But bottling things up doesn't make them disappear. It can make them heavier. Real strength is being able to say, "I'm not okay." Real strength is asking for support when you need it. That doesn't make anyone weak. It makes them human. If more open conversations existed around stress, anxiety, and emotional health, maybe more people would feel safe reaching out sooner. Maybe more lives could be supported before reaching breaking points. To anyone watching right now, if you're dealing with depression, anxiety, overwhelming thoughts, or emotional distress, please don't carry it alone. Reach out to someone you trust. Talk to a friend, a family member, a counselor, or a professional resource in your area. There are people trained and ready to listen 24/7. Your life matters. Your presence matters. Your story is still being written. And to Nathan Smith's family, friends, and everyone who loved him, this loss is deeply felt. May his memory be honored with respect. May healing come in time. Before you leave, drop your thoughts in the comments, but keep it respectful. This isn't gossip. This is real life, real loss, real people. Let's honor his memory by choosing empathy over rumors, support over speculation, and conversation over silence. If this message resonated with you, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment to help keep these important conversations going right here on Street Smoke.